So I want to touch a bit more on this revenue aspect. What I find really interesting about your work, and I'm yet to get there, but you're going to help me because you're always a further along the path than me, is how did you secure your global clients? Because you work primarily with global clients, so it's great to be earning in dollars and euros and whatever else versus rand. How did you secure those global clients, and what did you have to do to maybe adjust your current workspace to adapt to their needs?
So I think two things there is I think sometimes people look at somebody like me and they don't realize that I'm a lot further down the path than they are. So if you've just graduated, chances of you finding global clients is probably going to be quite difficult. I think there is not some value, a lot of value in actually trying to get into a traditional workplace for some period of time. And a lot of the skills that I have that then gave me access into global clients were because of the work that I did in TV as well as in the nonprofit later. So that span, which was probably about 10 years of more formal career experience, actually then gave me the platform to take a more unusual direction, because a lot of the work that I did in the nonprofit, it was across time zones, across regions. We were connected with a nonprofit in Chicago, and that gave me the skills that then when I went out on my own, I discovered that I was actually in a very small niche of people who had that experience. And so then when I was speaking to nonprofits and they were looking for people like me, I was able to say, well, I actually have this experience. I've worked across time zones. I've worked with teams in remote locations. I've done remote work, as I say, when I was starting out on my own, and this was 2017. We hadn't had COVID. People were still a little bit scared of remote work. And so all of those things actually gave me the platform to do it. So I think knowing where you want to go is great, but then also realizing that sometimes you actually are going to need the experience that comes through a formal work environment, through learning how to navigate conflict in a formal work environment. There's so many things that those kind of environments when you're not on your own teach you that you don't get as an individual, kind of just navigating stuff on their own. I see it, I'm going to give my brother as an example. He's only ever worked in very small organizations of less than 3 people, so him and 2 others. And he lacks some of the corporate skills or those kind of skills that you would need, and he knows he does, because he hasn't had that. So I think don't be scared. Don't listen to this today and be like, oh, well, now I'm not going to work at a corporate, or I'm not going to work in a bigger organization. I think there's a lot to learn there that you can take into things. And then, in terms of some of the adjustments that I've had to make, especially for the global clients, that's been around things like global clients don't understand load shedding. So having to actually, we're investing in solar now because the load shedding has been increasing. And so we're investing in solar so we don't have to explain to our clients, sorry, we've got load shedding, we can't join a call, or we can't do those kind of things. We've been working with UPSs for a while, but now we need to move to the next level. So I think it's also just, if you have a global mindset, you then need to start thinking, how can I make sure that I am professional on the same level as my counterparts, which in some ways are your competition, in a foreign country.
Wendy, I think what I got from that is your kind of formula to the unconventional pathway, right? So I'm going to read it out based on my interpretation. You tell me if I've got it correctly. The first stage is exploration. So kind of testing out a few things. Do I want to study this? Oh, no, I don't want to study this. Let me figure out where to go. And then your second stage is growth. So I'm growing in a specific career path, for example, TV. Okay, I'm bored. What's the next thing? So I'm growing my skill sets. Then the third stage is discovery. So actually, I want to work in this kind of environment. I want to do this type of work that's different from what I've done before. And the fourth stage would be mastery, which is where you're at the moment of I can now actually connect with clients that I want to work with. I do the work that I find engaging and interesting and exciting, and I can say no to work that I don't want to do. But now this formula, Wendy, based on what you've experienced and myself, is a 20 to 25-year process, right? You start out in your early career, and then you shift into your mid-career, which is where we're at the moment. So I've also been working for 23 years now. First job at the age of 17, straight out of my high school, studying part-time, doing what we can. So I think that's what I want to bring across, is that you can't avoid this process. There's no short circuit. There's no shortcut to this process. You have to develop character. You have to also kind of allow yourself the time to figure out, who am I? what kind of work makes me come alive and how do I follow that? Did I get that correctly?
Yeah, I'm very impressed. I would never have been able to put it into that kind of stages. The one thing that I would add to it is that I feel like that cycle continues all the time. I don't think, like, I wouldn't say like now I'm in mastery, so I don't explore anymore. 2 years ago, I went and did a master's in a completely different field because I wanted to explore. I wanted options. I wanted new things. Right now, I'm busy learning 2 languages, doing a drawing course, and another online course because I want to explore and I want to do those growth and things like that. And I want to have future options for areas that I need to become a master in, especially nowadays. I mean, we're living longer. I don't expect that in 20 years' time, I'm going to stop working. I expect that I probably have another 40 years worth of work ahead of me, as scary as it is. I'd love to retire young. But that means like I'm already actually starting to think of, oh, if normal retirement age is at 65, then what are the skills that I need to be developing now and exploring now that I can have begun to master at 65 that are going to be valuable at that stage? So I think the only thing I change about the model that you mentioned there is that you can, at any point, you can start that explore phase again. And it can carry on to mastery, even if you are mastering another area.
I love that, Randy. You've just described the epitome of lifelong learning, and also touching on the fact that even the idea of retirement is shifting, because my husband and I are both of the opinion that retirement is a man-made concept and not one that we ascribe to. Because how do you retire from your life? Once you found the work that makes you come alive, thing you're passionate about, how do you stop being that person? How do you stop doing it? So I love that you're really thinking about at that stage, what will I need to learn? How will I need to grow? And I think the fact that you are doing all these things at the same time and continually building that, you're keeping your brain alert and active. And so by the time you get to 65, that brain is still going to be strong, right? And so I think that's an awesome thing that you've added. Thank you so much for that.